Hello and a very warm welcome to this week's podcast. My name is Paul Webber. It's a great pleasure to be here, and slightly different one this week. We have the pleasure of speaking to an author of a book that I'm currently in the process of narrating for the benefit of making an audiobook, of course, about that, and also speaking to the publisher of that book. And it's my great pleasure to welcome to the Love Audio Cafe the one and only Jack Lench and also Wendy Ridolini. So hi guys, welcome along.
Hello.
Morning.
Hello.
Now I'm speaking to you from a pretty cold and damp UK, but I know you guys are not in the UK right now. Tell me where you are.
We are in central Italy on the Adriatic coast, in between Rimini and Bari, opposite Rome, in amongst the Apennine Mountains.
Fantastic. It sounds idyllic, and I know that Wendy, you were telling me that you're hoping to create some kind of retreat for writers. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. It's been a journey. Writing a book, self-publishing a book, marketing, editing, proofreading. We've been on such a journey with it, and I think we've picked up so many skills. We'd quite like to share those skills with other people who want to go on the same journey. So what we'd like to offer is writing retreats in Italy. We can introduce guests to a couple of people that are published themselves. We can do seminars, we can do talks, and so we can have have our writing retreats in the gorgeous hills of Italy with beautiful weather and good food.
It sounds absolutely amazing, and I'm looking forward to visiting it as and when we can, of course, when we can kind of travel freely once more. Jack, if I could turn to you, how did you get into writing? You know, what inspired you initially to put pen to paper, and how long ago was that?
I don't really know. I've always had the story that I've based around Illicit Deception, the first novel I've done. I've had that sort of outline for 20, 30 years using elements of historical facts. I started to put pen to paper 10 years ago when we first come out to Italy, to really, in a way, to um, document our experience of moving to live in a different country, and the problems and everything we've had on the way. I felt then that I enjoyed the process so much. So when I had a bit of time on my hands, I decided to sit down and put the story, my illicit deception story, to paper. That was the how it all came about, really. So it's enjoying the process. That's it.
I
Yeah.
have the book
That's the
here,
one.
which is brilliant. Thank you for sending me this. This is really good. And so, the story itself, Illicit Deception. Tell us a little bit about the storyline and how that came about, if you can.
Well, the story of having, say, tweeting some historical facts. It's based on the last king of France, Louis Philippe. And I found out that Louis Philippe had 10 children, the first of which was a legitimate son he had with a cook in the palace. The cook was banished to Italy, to Milan, and took the son, Leopold, became a very important man in his own right. He was obviously, thanks to his father's money, was well educated. Now, I've then brought that forward to say that he was a legitimate son. So he would now, and his current offspring would be, 7 generations later, would be the current um, king of queen of France. And then I had the girl who would hold that title as the current Queen, come into a hotel in Devon and meet a guy whose life was going nowhere and wanted to make some. Well, he just wanted to get out of the rut he was in, and this is the story of two people coming together and uh, how it fared.
Absolutely wonderful. And obviously we should explain at this stage that the book is part of a trilogy that you've written. Those are the other two books as well. So that's
Yeah.
so Running Flush and also 6 Miles with a Pink Geranium. Both, or all three, excellent titles. Can't wait to obviously find out what the next stages are for the characters in these books. But the one of the main characters, obviously, that I'm narrating is Robin, and he's kind of not the hotelier, but he's certainly the manager of the hotel. But he's a jack of all trades, isn't he? He's kind of doing everything under the sun at the hotel, and has had hotel experiences with his father over the years. Yourselves, both you and Wendy, do you love to travel? Do you love to kind of stay in plush hotels and things when you get the chance? Of course, that is.
I've always, my whole career, which has nothing to do with being an author, has involved working in different traveling away. I can, it's all, everything I've ever done, my whole working life has been uh, away from home. So, yes, I have a love of travel. I've lived in several different countries over my life. And yeah, hotels, it comes part of the way of life as much as anything, having to travel to wherever.
Now, Wendy, if I can ask you about the retreats that you hope to run fairly soon, and of course into the new year, will these be for authors or for budding authors that want somewhere pleasant to kind of relax and write their stories? How do you see that panning out?
We're at the moment looking into some kind of accommodation, which is hopefully near the airport, overlooking, so people can come out for a week. Yeah, budding authors, people that you kind of get a mixed bag, don't you, really, of people who want to write, don't know if they've got the skills to do that. But then, even once you have actually written something, then how do you go about self publishing? How do you go about marketing it? And I think these are the things that we can bring into a writing retreat.
I think it sounds like an excellent idea, and they say that most people have got a story within them somewhere, don't they? They say that deep within you there is a story to be written, but it's just sometimes people are petrified to kind of, like you've done, Jack, is to put pen to paper and actually bring it to life. Do you find that that's the case? So you may have an idea in your head, but putting it down on paper is a completely different thing.
Of course, well, everyday life, it takes so much of your day and your time. You've got to be in a position sometimes to have an opportunity, not to have to worry about paying the bills and be able to sit and give that time to something because it is a long, involved process. I mean, the number of writes, rewrites, bits, rereads, bits you cut out, it represents months of actually sitting down worker, and it is the time that you can allow to it is something that we most of us can't afford, and I haven't been able to afford to do that until in almost into my 60s that have I had the time within my working life to
But
be able
some of
to.
the stories that Jack comes out with, I know Duncan, obviously, I've known him for many years. We've been together. But some of the stories, spy stories, thrillers, suspense, I have no idea where this comes from. Somewhere in here. Sometimes I read these, sometimes when I'm editing or proofreading. And I think, well, where did you get that from? How would you know about MI6? How would you know about intelligence services? How do you know about this kind of stuff?
But that's
Guns.
the fun of it for me has been the research of it, sitting down and learning, and checking facts, looking at facts, digging up things to put the story together. The research side was really enjoyable, and it's still is.
My name is Robin Ashurst. I've been told that everyone has a story to tell. This is mine. Various twists of fate led me reluctantly on a journey which I could never have imagined. Ordinary people like me do not get involved in matters of state, political intrigue, or get immersed in the murky world of organised crime. I'd ended up as a manager of a 16-room hotel on the South Devon coast. Having been built around the 20s, the Limes was constructed in a grand colonial style, symmetrical and enduring, with wrought iron columns and a balanced array of glass windows. Almost every room had a balcony with a sea view. Surrounded by landscaped gardens, the hotel was prominently situated on top of a cliff, with the beach some 50 metres below. At night, the waves could be heard, pounding the shingle. I went into the kitchen to speak to my boss, Hanson Mulhenny, about the new chef. Ravi's English isn't good and he is a little volatile. Look at the guy. He's not a trained chef. Just what is he wearing? That's not kitchen attire. Where are his whites? Look, Hanson, is he illegal? Why doesn't he speak any English if he's working in this country? I am responsible for hiring all staff, which makes me think you're having problems with money. Is that why you're taking on these sorts of dubious people behind my back? So many questions, but Hanson did not answer any of them. None of your goddamn business, Robin. I pay your wages, so do as I say. His tone was threatening as he glared at me. I rang my friend and colleague Roy on his mobile. Mate, where are you? A whole lot of crazy shit is going down here. Calm down, Rob. I am on your side. He said these words with force, giving me some reassurance. Hanson just phoned me. He told me to have a word with you about being a bit more cooperative. I was astounded. Cooperative? Me? That's bollocks, Roy. I haven't a clue what's going on. Nothing makes any sense. One of my hotel guests has died, and now it seems the old crone has vanished from hospital records. Her gormless granddaughter Antonella, who doesn't know what planet she's on, is staying here with no money until God knows when, and a local businessman has just been found dead on the beach. You don't think that's suspicious? And now I've got some real heavyweight guys wandering around the hotel pretending to be the law. Quite honestly, I am totally mystified and bloody uneasy. At that point, my legs went like jelly. I could not speak. Roy's loud and clear voice faded into hushed, inaudible mutterings. I thought I was going to lose control of my bowels as I observed one of the so-called police standing by the conservatory door. I saw the unmistakable outline of a gun poking into the ribs of another guy whose face I could not see. Rob? Rob? Mate, you still there? With shaking hands, I switched off my mobile and made a discreet exit. With no firm plan in mind and certainly not thinking about any consequences, I took Antonella aside. We're going to have to make a quick getaway. I couldn't believe she showed such little resistance to being simply picked up and put down. Perhaps she had no idea of how much danger we were in, but then Antonella was used to being told what to do. I had just replaced her grandmother. Do you need to get anything from your room? She shook her head. Do as I do and follow me, I whispered to her. We're just taking the rubbish out, I announced, as we picked up a black sack each from out of the bins near the sink. I led her out from the kitchen. The security light was on in the yard behind the kitchens. The tall guy stared at me with animosity in his eyes. I gestured to the rubbish dumpster. He didn't move. We threw our waste bags into the skip and then nipped around the back through a hole in the fence. It was dark, but not pitch black. There was a little moonshine which showed us the way, but I knew the footpaths well, so we hurried along. I was holding Antonella by the hand as we escaped through the gardens, between the beds of roses and spring pansies, and then we ran across the lawn to the far corner where I knew there was a metal ladder, which dropped down about 10 meters over the sea wall to the shore. I didn't dare look back to see if we were being followed. I went first, then Antonella came down behind me. As our feet hit the beach, the soft crunch of shingle punctuated the sound of the pounding surf. So the book Illicit Deception, what kind of book is it? Is it thriller, suspense? Tell us a little bit more.
Used some historical facts and tweeted them to bring a book of thriller, some suspense, thriller, crime. It is a book that is a bit of a whodunit as well. Hopefully, it's a puzzle for people to can try and work out who is who, because most of the people aren't who they claim to be initially. Everybody has a second identity, with the exception of Rob Ashurst, the lead character.
So if you like John le Carre, if you like
Robert Harris.
I'm just trying to authors. Yeah, essentially it's a crime novel, isn't it, really? But the way that Jack Lench has written this is that he's drawn on some true historical facts and brought them into the story. But as Jack says, no one is who they say they are. The question, are they lying about? That's up to the reader to find out.
So that was just to give people a flavour of the book itself, a little bit of a teaser, which is great. I'd like you guys to tell everybody where they can obtain the book, obviously in hardback, but also on ebook as well, which they can download. How can they get hold of that?
We have wide, as they say, which means that, yes, it is available on Amazon, the easiest way for people to buy it or download it. But because we've gone wide, it means that we've put it on various other platforms, Goodreads, Bookblurb. In actual fact, if you wanted to go into any Waterstone store, you could order it straight from the store.
That's fantastic. And I know it's looking to the future, of course, but when do you hope to have the follow-ups to Illicit Deception, which of course is the first one to be released? When do you hope to have the follow-ups to that book in the pipeline?
We've just been a bit delayed with one thing and another at the moment. It's that COVID has made a difference to most people's lives, and it has ours. And so we were hoping for December for Christmas, but it's probably going to be the end of January now before we actually get it out there. This one is all the books are based around a hotel in Devon, which is Rob Ashurst, who was the manager of. But this one also has a section based on the Tremiti Islands, which is in the Adriatic off the coast of Italy.
Me as a voiceover, based in Devon, and I live literally a mile away from where the hotel that you feature in the book is situated. Just tell us how that came about, because that's an amazing coincidence or luck, as far as I'm concerned. How did you? What was the process when you decided to look for a voiceover artist, and actually you found one that was literally a mile away from the hotel where you'd written it about?
Well, I didn't know you lived there at the time. My parents lived in Sheldon, and for a long time, and I used to visit them with my children when they were little, and we used to go down and see Granny and Grandad in Sheldon, Timoth, that area. So I knew South Devon very well. I needed for the main character some sort of place for the whole everything to go on, and that's why I invented his life atelier, because it seemed to offer everything I might need for the story to unfold. And of course, then I was familiar with what is called the Nest Hotel in Sheldon, because we used to have coffee there, drink there at the time. And so in my imagination, I've used the Nest Hotel as a framework for the book Illicit Deception, where all the majority of the action takes place.
I was looking at, I was Googling people, audio production companies, and I just came across yours. Absolute coincidence. But like Duncan said, at the time, we didn't know what the connection was. But you do voiceovers, you do adverts, and I listened to them because for the most part, it had to be the right voice, and yours was.
We were looking for somebody with the knowledge of the accent as well, because it was based in Devon. And I'm from Suffolk, so I've got a whole Suffolk accent that probably do the Devon as well as somebody who's local.
It's only when I thought, I wonder where this bloke is. And I looked at the bottom, obviously, of the website to get the address, and I thought, oh my God, that's Tinmouth. You know, you can't be far away from the nest. You know the nest, of course you do.
Long story short, but my late father and his 5 brothers grew up in Sholden. My grandparents lived there in a little place called Homeyards, which is in Sholden, and so we know the area very well. We obviously frequented it quite a lot. There's a lovely botanical gardens in Sholden as well, just down the road from where your hotel is set, the Limes, aka the Ness, is situated. And so yeah, we spent a great deal of childhood growing up there, and you know, taking my children as well to the botanical gardens to play and all that kind of thing whilst they were younger.
My children used to love going down the Smuggler's Tunnel to the bit behind the pub, through the old lime kilns, and we would go at the time, regular basis. Although at the time we were living in the Midlands, I say it was to visit my grandfather, their grandfather and grandmother.
I mean, I wouldn't have minded, Paul, if you'd lived in, you know, Glasgow. I wouldn't have minded what you know, for me, we had to get the voice, because like you say in the book, Jack's he's a bit of a Del boy, isn't he, really? He's got a heart of gold. Sorry, Rob, I mean, Rob's got a heart of gold.
Yeah.
But he's a bit of a Jack the lad, and he's very warm-hearted, and I think we had to get that voice right. So it wouldn't have mattered where you were from, but the fact that you are from the area,
It's a real
icing on the
pleasure
cake.
It's a real pleasure to be able to do this for you guys, and you know, I know that I'm currently working my way through the chapters currently. So when is the kind of when do you hope to release the audiobook? Do you have a date in mind, let's say, for next year?
As soon as it's done. I mean, you are the ultimate professional. I mean, we had said, hadn't we, that once you send it to us, we'll check it. There might be bits that might need redoing, but we just haven't found that. We listened to your first chapter a couple of nights ago with a beautiful bottle of Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, and both of us just thought, wow, this is it. You're reading the story for us. You are making it come alive. This is exactly how we had it in our imagination, didn't we? Really,
Well, for me,
it brought tears to Duncan's eyes.
for me, you're bringing the characters alive as I imagine them to be, and in all of this, and with the publishing and the marketing and everything else that's involved with getting this book out there,
Yeah.
I think actually it was the easy bit, and it's mind-boggling what you have to go through to get something, a product out there, which has been, say, mission of mine for a very, very long time, to have this story actually being read by people.
Yeah.
When we started this process, we had no idea what was involved. Absolutely none. I mean, I concentrated on proofreading and the editing. I mean, we've come to a wonderful guy. We call him Printing Pete, don't we? Pete does the covers for us. who is very well connected, with what he does. He's a professional like you are, and he's never done covers before. He was really keen to join with us, collaborate with us on these projects, and do the covers for us. And we think they're. I was going to say we think they're. I mean, when you get to the second book, which is Running Flush, about how a guy runs a hotel on the Trinity Islands, which he's going to renovate, how he gets mixed up with security services. Um, he did the cover for that. Yeah, Running Flush, a hand, the cards, and the Trinity Islands. Um, yeah, in the background.
The basis of it is he wins in a derelict hotel on an Italian island, and then he goes out to it and finds and decides to renovate the hotel himself and get it going. Hasn't been used for 30 years, and renovates this hotel, and then starts to run a business there, and that's the basis of the story.
It fascinates me how you remember what you've written about. I mean, I know it's been in there for a while, and like we said earlier on, getting it down onto paper isn't always easy. But it amazes me personally how you managed to retain all of that information, Jack, and you're able to recall bits and pieces of it.
I can work on plots and characters, and my main thing has been to create characters to work the story round. Characters, it all seems to fall into place and put the story together, because half of the book is about how the characters you've created are interacting with each other. Goodies and baddies. It is something that
I think I don't write anything. Jack does the writing, but some people say that they start making notes and they start doing storylines. And Jack doesn't do anything like that. He just sits at the laptop. It just comes out, doesn't it? Somewhere in this mind of his, the plots, the storylines, it just comes out. You never make any notes at all, do you?
I have of an age now where life's experiences I can call on things that have happened, situations I've been in, and I have evolved those into the plots. And the hotel in the Trempe Islands, I delivered some stuff to people in Italy who had a derelict hotel that hadn't been used for 30 years, and they had every intention of renovating it and opening it up as a boutique hotel.
Yeah.
So going through
on that.
the hotel was based on personal experience, as was the using the lion was a base to center everything on, and then adding to the characters, how they interact. So it is. I don't know whether I'm doing it properly or not. I'm just doing it the only way I can probably do it.
Wendy, any final last words from you?
This has been both of us, and absolutely, it's taking us on a journey now, and I think that's what life is. I mean, Duncan, Jack Lench, his mantra has always been "see where the road takes you," and I think we are really doing that. Sometimes, when people say, "Oh, I'd really like to do that," "Oh, I'd love to do that," "I'd love to go there," and I think the moral of the story is, "Well, do it then. Go,
Yeah.
do it. Want to write a book? Just try it, and see where the road takes you." I mean, it's wonderful. This is something that we can do together. We're not really in it to make money from it, particularly. If we make some money from it along the way, that's good. That's a good thing. But to have a hobby that you really both enjoy, and if you make some money from your hobby, then life is good.
So, Jack, any final words from you, sir?
Well, in my view, nowadays the biggest failure is not having a go. You can I didn't want to get to an age where I hadn't the energy to write a book and then sit there regretting I'd never. My advice to anybody is, give it a go. If it works, if it doesn't, who cares? The biggest failure is not trying.
And on that note, we'll say thank you very much indeed for joining me, Jack Lench, author of Illicit Deception, and Wendy Ridolini, who's publishing it via Sunflower Publishing. You can get the book on Amazon and other bookstores and various other places. Look for Illicit Deception, Jack Lench. Guys, thank you so much for joining me, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
cheers.
Paul.
Love Audio.